But guys, that was a heck of a day. And this is going to be one heck of an edit because real time I've probably spent 4 or 5 hours doing this. I'm sure that it would be a lot quicker the second time around, and if I had instructions it definitely would have been a lot quicker. Trying to figure out what every little bolt and the nutserts and everything that comes with it were for. That was the hardest part. The components themselves pretty straightforward. They're only really going to go together one way. It was just figuring out all the hardware. But very happy and very excited to take it on its next run. Still waiting on the crash bars and the tyres, a couple of other little bits and pieces, but that's probably going to be another video on its own whenever they do arrive. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of The Bad Idea Bros. Today you join me in the shed, and obviously the Himalayan is back behind me. That is good news because that means the last parts that I'm waiting for have finally arrived. Now, if you've seen the previous episodes on this bike, I've started fitting a few aftermarket parts, changed the seat and the plastics on the rear of the bike to the rally kit. This is just a continuation of that. So I finally, after a huge wait, have my rally protection kit. So that includes lower crash bars and the belly pan. This has been the thing I've been waiting for the most. The bike is totally fine and fully operational, but I was always a little nervous to take the thing out onto any sort of difficult trails. We've done a few gravel roads, purely because of everything was quite exposed, especially this cooling hose that you'll see on screen now. So guys, we can finally get into this thing properly and fit the last components to the bike. I'm obviously very chuffed about this. It has been a long wait. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so not much has really changed since you last saw the bike. A couple of superficial things. We all know that I'm not super happy that the back of the rally kit is white. Try to rectify that by putting the sponsor stickers on there, but to be honest, I think it's just sort of exasperated the problem. I've seen some comments from you guys saying that it looks like I've put two different bikes together. I do see that. I don't love the white, so that's something that I do have a few plans for. Not in this video, but coming up, we'll see if things change. Now, in the aftermarket parts episode, you know that I wasn't very happy with the headlight cover. Well, that's now got the factory Royal Enfield grille on it. I am still running this aftermarket radiator guard. It's actually held up pretty well. The vibrations I was worried about never really came to fruition, so it's still on there. The other part that I have removed is the GPS mount. So I noticed in a few videos that it was causing quite a rattle. Quite dusty today too. And that wasn't a sound that I was very happy with. So I've gone just for the floating mount. We've got the adhesive mount with the usual sort of GoPro adapters. So hopefully that'll fix that up. Now, today's parts. This is the old headlight grille that I was talking about. I wouldn't recommend them. They're pretty thin, they're pretty flimsy. I don't know, they are what they are. And this GPS mount. Now, this was actually really quite good. The mount itself isn't too bad. It tucks in between the windscreen and behind the instrument panel, and it does give you this bar to mount to. I did have my camera mounted to this, and it wasn't too bad, but it was causing quite a vibration noise. I guess the weight of the camera might have been too heavy, or I'm not sure. But either way, it's done away with, and we'll forget about these two parts. These are the bits that I'm excited about. So we've got the smaller box on top. That's my new bash plate or belly pan, and the big box at the bottom of the crash bars. So guys, I'm going to crack these open, and we'll give you a look at what's inside. Okay, so not a massive amount of parts today, but enough to keep us busy. So this is the metal belly plate that it came with, and quite a few fixings. Nothing that's going to be too crazy. I think that should be all quite straightforward. And the important part, we've got the crash bars. So these are just the lower part. I have seen that Royal Enfield do offer a few variants. There's the large type, small type, and then this rally kit. So that obviously comes with all the hardware needed to fit it. So we've got some various spacers and stuff. This should be very straightforward to fit. I think there's a couple of bits that'll need to come off the bike in order to make this work, but nothing too drastic. Should be a lot easier than the the rally kit on the back of it with the seat was. That was a nightmare. But guys, that is where we're at. So only a few little bits and pieces to fit today. There will be an order of operation, of course, there always is with these things, but it should be very straightforward. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the starting point is underneath the bike, and looks like I don't really clean this thing well enough, so that'll be fun. All sorts of rubbish from paddocks and stuff that we've been riding through. We've got the H4 hex nuts that we need to get rid of, so on the exhaust plate and this plastic sump guard. I think there's only about 4 of them, so that should be pretty straightforward, but it's going to be probably not the easiest thing to film in the world, but we'll see how we go. Most of this should be very straightforward, guys, comparative to some of the other stuff I've done. So, yeah, it should be pretty much a straight bolt on. Okay, so that's super simple. 5 bolts, 3 H4 hex heads on the exhaust side, and we had 2 H5 that just went into this mount here. That mount's probably going to have to come off for clearance, but I'm going to leave it for now. So we'll move on to undoing the 14mm bolt that's in the engine mount there. I know that needs to come out, and we have a spacer to put on here to get it around this exposed cooling hose, which is the main reason that I was quite adverse to taking this thing off-road. So it should be this side here that we need. We also should need the bigger spacer and probably the longer bolt, I'd imagine. That would make sense. Shorter bolt with the shorter spacer. Alright, so yeah, let's keep going forward and see how this goes. Okay, so we've got that in. It's just loose, so the whole thing can be moved. But the next step is the rear mount here, which, I don't know if you're going to see this, marries up to the bracket that's just there, to the top left of screen. That requires us getting our first bits from the kit. So, those holes are open, so we're going to need a couple of these nut clips, 2 of the nuts, and confusingly from this side of the kit, because this is one whole thing, even though it comes in 2 boxes, we need the 2 larger washers. So we'll peel those out, and that should attach that right hand bar. Oh man, these are going to be a fight. There we go, 1 and 2. Alright, so that's all the hardware, and we should be able to get that fitted up there pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm not sure how secure they are, but we'll see. That's got those crash bars fitted. I have just buzzed this top engine mount bolt back up tight as well. I'm not sure if it needs to be tight right now, but I just feel better having this one tight when I'm going to be removing the other side. So that is the first part done, and we've got the left-hand crash bar essentially fitted. I am going to have to turn the bike around to get to the other side, and I believe the right-hand side is going to be a bit more involved. So let's get this thing done. Alright, so that's got the bike turned around, and this is where it starts getting a little more involved, but still nothing too crazy. We need to remove the 3 bolts pictured there on the brake mounting assembly, and can't forget to just that little black pipe in there from the crash bar. We need to put the adapter joiner in there, so we'll do that. It's got 3 H6 bolts down here, so we've got 1, 2 and 3. We'll pop them out, like I said, just H6, hopefully not too tight because I've only got a 1/4 inch spanner, ratchet for these ones, and we'll slap that little joiner in again with the fittings provided. So we've got 2 small washers, the joiner itself, and we're going to need another 2 of these little guys. So that's everything to join that. I am just realising now that we'll only need 1 washer and 1 bolt because we're only doing one side. But let's pop that in, and then we'll get that foot control off and we'll get these bars fitted. Right, that worked a treat, so that's now off and floating, and that gives us access to that guy back there, which I believe is where the crash bar will mount. So next step is this one up here. So again, it's just a 13mm bolt, same as the one we did before, but there is a nut on the back side, which I think's 17, so we'll pop that off, and then we can offer up the other side of the crash bars. Alright, for this one we're going to need the longer of the 2 bolts. I did initially think that this would be the other side, but no, it goes on this one with the smaller spacer, so go figure. And we obviously need this guy that has singular mounting point back there. It is captive, so that's what that bolt there is going to be for. Alright, time to offer this up. Should be all very straightforward. Small spacer, big bolt into the crash bars. This is a little tricky one-handed, and that should go all the way through, which it does, and I can feel the thread on the back, so we will reuse the standard nut and washer that I've just taken off, and that'll have that side bolted up. Oh, actually, there's a trap. When you're doing this, make sure that that is in behind the exhaust first. I'm going to have to pull that back out to get that into the right spot, but we'll do that, and that last bolt looks like it does mount up with that in there. So, alright, let's crack on. Okay, so none of that was particularly difficult. It's just a little bit of a finicky thing with the foot control there. I'm obviously pretty happy to have those on, and they are pretty solid. So we've got this little spacing unit in here. You can see the 2 bolts. I need to take them back out so that I can get all this stuff aligned exactly to where I want it to be. We'll make sure all the bolts are tightened up and torqued to spec. I probably should have torqued the one that's underneath there, but I've cracked that as tight as I can. The head of the nut is actually in behind all of this, so even if it did try and back out, it's not going to be able to back out, and we'll obviously torque these back up as well. So yeah guys, we're getting there. I guess once that's all done, we'll put the little bracket that's needed to hold the bash plate on. We'll put that on here, and then we can start fitting the actual bash plate itself. Right, that's got everything tightened up, and you can see that we've got the little bracket to accept the bash plate now on the bike. So that is all solidly fitted. So that means it is time for the bash plate. Now, this thing's bare. You can see that it's got all the reliefs here for where this will mount up to the crash bars, and we've got all the hardware. So these little rubber grommets, they'll go into those holes that we just looked at. These metal washers that have the shoulder, they'll go into said rubber grommets, and the remaining bolts will be the hardware to attach them to the crash bars themselves. So nice and simple, 6 of those to do. So let's get these in now and we'll get it on the bike. And there we have it, guys. That has the rally protection kit fitted to the bike, finally, after a very long time waiting for these bits to get here. Am I super impressed by the quality? Yeah, it's not too bad. The crash bars look nice and durable, so hopefully they should be able to take a hit. The bash plate or the belly pan itself, maybe a bit thin. I'm not sure. We'll see when I find my first tree stump or big exposed rock, but for the moment, it should work pretty well. Fitting kit, really straightforward. It was very much just a follow your nose sort of thing. Did, of course, have a look at the instructions this time. The boxes had the QR code on them, so I wasn't going in completely blind like I was with the last build. But that's it, guys. So that is everything on the bike aftermarket-wise that I wanted. So we've got the bark busters. They're fitted. They're fantastic. They've done everything they needed to do. We've got the tall windscreen. Obviously, we've got the rally protection kit and the rally single seat and plastics for the back of it. Changed the bike to be what I want. Now, I understand a lot of people don't specifically want these as a fully off-road beast, but for me, that's what I was after. So that's pretty much it, guys. There will be maybe some stuff in the future. I might look at doing something with the white rally kit on the back. I don't like that white panel, but that's no secret. You guys know that. But that's it. So, as always, guys, I thank you for following along, and now we can finally get this thing on the trail. So, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.